The power to revolutionize the world. But what is that power? And what sort of revolution will it bring? At its core, Revolutionary Girl Utena is about breaking free from societal systems of oppression, the pressure levied on those who dare to step outside their codified role within society. Utena is the girl who wishes to be the prince, a surface-level subversion of gender roles that ultimately reinforces the world that birthed such oppression. It's no coincidence the show's two pictures of the prince are manipulative and self-serving. Her and Anthi's salvation is not in Utena becoming the very representation of that patriarchal system, but rather repudiating it altogether. At the end of the TV series, Utena pulls Anthi from her coffin. She can't save her alone, but by reaching a hand out, Anthi frees herself from the system which bound her, ultimately leaving Otori behind. Utena, meanwhile, sees the swords of hatred transfer to her, though she doesn't enter the coffin in Anthi's place. Utena has already swept aside the shackles of this world, rejecting the ideal of the prince. As such, she doesn't return to its confinement, but instead disappears from it entirely. Even so, while the other characters find themselves trapped within this cycle, the subconscious influence of Utena's resolve, like the person who saved the drowning girl in Judy's story, instills a belief that they too will someday escape this place. Where then does the follow-up film, Adolescence of Utena, enter the picture, in all its surrealist glory? For starters, there's much debate on what exactly the movie is to the TV series in the first place. The prevailing view holds it as a condensed retelling of the original story, but some see it as more of a direct continuation. Yes, you can watch it without the series, but I really don't recommend it. Beyond that, its reputation as a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma exceeds it. No matter whom you ask, Adolescence is perhaps best known for turning Utena into a car. But in spite of the many new turns it takes in getting there, it ultimately arrives at the same place, Utena and Anthi leaving this world behind, only this time together. Right from the start, Adolescence introduces the allure and power the system holds over its inhabitants. Utena is dragged into this story by the prince, first when she sees Toga, and then when she obtains the ring. From a lone white rose, the symbol of the prince, in a field of red, Utena receives the mark of the Rose Bride and is immediately drawn to the Rose Garden by Anthi, where she duels Saionji. Importantly, Anthi pins a red rose to Saionji's chest, but to Utena, she offers the white of the prince. Among the most clear and most discussed themes of the movie is the death of the prince, both physically and as an ideal. Here the prince is represented again by Toga and Akio, but in very different ways than the TV series. Toga is truly the archetypal prince, but where TV Toga's manipulative ways were more openly damaging, here he appears to be the real thing, a benevolent, altruistic hero. In that way, his effect on the characters is far more insidious. Where Utena had to actively overthrow Toga's manifestation of the prince in the TV series, in Adolescence, Toga represents an ideal she must outgrow, the failure to do so keeping her rooted in the past and the world he signifies. One of the film's biggest revelations comes with the full story of the drowning girl, a nod to the same from the TV series, where we learn Toga is actually dead, tragically meeting his end saving that girl, who turns out to be Judy, as Utena looked on. The foreshadowing to this moment is littered throughout the film's first two acts. For one, the room Shiori and Toga inhabit is made to look like a morgue, with Toga first appearing under a sheet used to cover the deceased, and sounds from a hospital lobby in the background. Their only line of connection here is to Akio, also dead. Shiori is truly torn between ghosts. Like Utena, she can't let Toga go, but where Utena only runs into him in reality, attached more to what he represents, Shiori physically joins him in this land of the dead. Her spiteful feelings towards this world are played to the flashback of Toga's traumatic experiences as a child, being made into an object of adult's desire, which informed his outward personification of a prince and manipulative tendencies, no doubt. Eventually, the scene culminates in the butterfly born from Toga's trauma and Shiori joining together, a representation of these negative feelings informing Shiori's desire to punish the others by locking them away with her, as we see during the film's climax. The other major hint at Toga's demise is the water motif. When he and Utena first meet, it's raining. During the pool scene later, when a hose slips from a faucet and sprays water on Utena and Anthi, Toga immediately offers a towel and helps dry them off, saving them from the water. Two connecting shots also use an underwater effect ending on a girl's shoe rising up, and most significantly, the rose garden is filled with water during the dance scene. When Utena finally remembers this past, she confesses her love for Toga, the prince who saved a life, but unlike Shiori, clearly chooses not to join him in his world, instead letting this ideal go. While Shiori, Utena, and even Judy are all possessed by the ghost of Toga in some way, Anthi is haunted by a different prince, her brother Akio, as seen in how Utena appears like him in her duel with Judy. Perhaps she believes Utena will use her in the same way, even as they grow closer, or maybe Utena is reaching that true ideal as she is really Auntie's prince. Both Akio and Toga represent the societal systems keeping the others trapped in this world. Utena and Auntie talk about the beauty of the stars, how they wish to see them, but without either prince there, the night sky is empty. That is, until Auntie bursts the pipe, flooding the garden and Toga with it, and reaches out to her. During their dance, they appear as their normal selves in actuality, with the reflection being their twin transformation designs. As red roses fall over Otori, their positions are flipped, bringing that power, which they awaken by coming together, into reality. This is the revolution of Adolescence of Utena. Through each other, they find their agency, the ability to see a world beyond this one. Ikuhara once said, "Revolution is the power to imagine the future." Toga's prince and Utena's childish ideal cannot exist, not in the mucky world of adults. As Ikuhara puts it, there are no people with pure hearts in that world. As such, Utena is faced with two choices: remain as a child and stay in this idealistic dreamland, or enter the dirty adult world regardless. Resolved to leave this place, she's drawn back to the rose garden, to Auntie, as the red roses now drift upward, as if to carry them out, before Utena, gets turned into a car. And what a metaphor it is. Fitting that Utena, upon making the decision to enter the adult world, loses the ring, the symbol of this child world, and becomes a car, a representation of adulthood. Utena is the literal vehicle for their personal growth, Auntie the will to make it so, and the mark of the Rose Bride the key connecting the two. All Auntie has to do is turn it. But it's also reflective of how they need each other. Auntie can't escape without Utena's power, but Utena has no one to guide her if not for Auntie. Judy, Miki, and even Saionji, in a car marked Wakaba, ultimately aid them in their mad dash, but they cannot yet follow them out. We can only hope Auntie and Utena inspire them to someday make their own revolution. Where Auntie and Utena's awakening lends each the willpower to make their own escape in the TV series, here it's their connectedness that moves them forward. When Akio shows up as the final obstacle in a last-ditch effort to keep them locked in their child state, Auntie cries out as Utena regains her human form and they break through, together as one. Ikuhara describes this adult world as a desolate wilderness, an expression of the modern world we live in. They would dare to enter this world with nothing, wearing nothing. Adolescence of Utena is truly the perfect repackaging of the original story, equally vivid and important. The starry nights of adolescence are gone, replaced by the gray sky of adulthood. Here, where there are no roads, no rules to guide themselves by, they are uncertain, but they are free. Free from the shackles of expectation, free to forge their own path, to make their own decisions, to be their own person. Perhaps that sky's not so gray after all.